guys, welcome back. Today we are having a new moon in the sign of Pisces. So I almost completely forgot about this new moon. I've been so busy and I forgot to write it in my planner. So usually I record these readings a day in advance so that it's on YouTube day of. That's how I usually like to do it, but it's day of. So this reading might be a little bit late. I'll try my best to get it uploaded on the 18th because March 18th is when this moon is happening where I live. So I'll try my best to get it up by then, but if not, it might be about a day late. I wanted to make sure that I came and that I recorded this reading because I've been very consistent recording these readings for the new moons and the full moons for at least the past couple of years. And I just didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to lose a moon. So I know not a lot of people watch these readings, but I do this mostly for myself. This is like a hobby, if you will. It's something that I find truly enjoyable and that I do feel called to do. Like I feel like it is purposeful and meaningful. So that's why I'm here. But for me to have any chance at all to upload this on time, it's gonna have to be a quick one, okay? So really quickly, the Pisces energy for me, it's such an interesting energy. Oh my goodness, this energy, because it's like, it's spirituality itself, you know what I mean? It's like all of those like mystical, mysterious experiences, energies that again, you can't really explain. Or I guess you can explain it, it's just, it's hard because if you explain it to people that don't have an understanding, then it can go over their head or they can misconstrue the message. It very much so depends on the person and like their awareness level and how they receive it and how in depth they understand it. Because Pisces is one of those energies that it can morph into something that is like delusional, or it can be very spiritual, like very, very on point, on track with something that's higher, greater, divine, holy, something that's going to make everything it touches elevated, better, you know? It really does have the potential for that. It can be like this very evolved energy that is detached, you know, from the material world or identity, ego, desires, these types of things, but not from like a place of abandonment or isolation, but from a place of wisdom, understanding like what you are, you know, your origins, your foundation, the foundation of reality and of consciousness, awareness, you know, life, love. It's such a profound and beautiful energy, but it can really get like twisted and misunderstood and misguided and led astray if, you know, you're not like, you don't have the self-awareness that you need to understand certain concepts. If it is an energy that does want to hide and escape and not face things, so it really like goes into these states of delusion by, you know, escaping through like drugs or fantasies, you know what I mean? And that's very much so like the ego, your patterns, your conditioning taking over, just being very sophisticated and smart about how it's doing that, so that it's like you're doing it and it's under the guise of I'm spiritual and I'm doing something great, but it's completely ungrounded and unfounded, I want to say. So this is definitely an energy we have to be careful with because of the polarity that exists here. It's like so stark and it could be really hard to catch because Pisces, it's very like, you know, fluid and it's not black and white at all, you know what I mean? So there does have to be so much discernment to be able to catch it, to observe, to see like what's really going on here and what's the thought process behind it, what's motivating, you know, the beliefs, the energy, so that you can make sure that you are in alignment and coming from a place of alignment rather than of delusion, which is really easy. It's something that's easy to do in this Pisces energy. So as always, check out where Pisces is in your chart because this probably is going to have something to do with that area of life. This is a new moon, so it's kind of like it's the start of a cycle in this area of life. And I think, you know, the quality of the start of this cycle, it's gonna depend on like, you know, where you're at, your journey, where you've been. So yeah, this could be like an elevation, like more wisdom, you know, more awareness, or it could be a cycle where maybe you're awakening to delusions, fantasies, ways that you've been escaping and isolating, detaching, but not in a spiritual, like profound way, but again, because you're running away and you don't want to face it. So yeah, it could be like high vibrational, like profound discoveries, bringing in more awareness into those realms, or it could be like maybe you're just starting to awaken to certain things, or even like taking yourself like further off the path. And what's so frustrating about that to me is like you're taking yourself away from the path, and it's like under the guise of it being spiritual. You know what I mean? It being righteous when it's anything but. So I'm super excited to jump into these messages. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the spread. You guys can take this moment to close your eyes, center your energy, take some deep in and out breaths to, invite stillness, quiet, so that you can be receptive and discerning towards the messages that are meant for you here today. So you guys can go ahead and do that while I go ahead and pull the spread. Okay, so I've gone ahead and pulled out the oracle cards for this spread. I was contemplating on just pulling everything out all together, like even the tarot. But first, let me just get the gist of the oracle cards, like I usually do. I feel like I'm in a rush. I just have to like calm down. I need to invite more stillness. There's no rush. We're good. We're good. Okay. So let's see what we have here. Yeah, so it's very Piscean, the energy that's coming through. It is talking about, it's not something that, we have to attain, that we have to strive for, that we have to create from scratch, It's simply becoming aware to what is, to what's present. You know what I mean? And in order for us to really do that, we have to just gain the awareness to see the things that are blocking us from realizing what's already there, what's already present. And those things that are blocking us, we could consider those things the things that are unconscious, right? We want to bring consciousness, we want to bring awareness in order to realize our potential and what's there, like our gifts, like what already exists inside of us. It's not so much that we have to like create something new. It's like just tune into yourself, because there's something that you already have, that maybe you've already cultivated, like your soul has already cultivated, maybe from past lives or something, or it's just something that you have a natural inclination with, or a proclivity with, that is already inside of you. It already exists within you. You just have to become aware of it. You just have to like find it. You know what I mean? You have to connect with it, realize it, see it. So it's about removing the obstacles in the way of you having that awareness to be able to see. And so this has to do with like patterns, conditioning, like egoic mind stuff, right? They say the mind is such a big obstacle in our spiritual progression, and it's because like your mind tries to like explain things away, or again the ego tries to defend itself or justify what it's doing as like righteous or elevated, even when it's not, even when it's like completely the opposite and you're actually being led astray. So it's like being able to detach enough, to create enough space between like those thoughts and yourself, like to become that observer and just see the thoughts, and then to have the discernment to like categorize, like, oh, that's conditioning. That thought has to do with conditioning, with patterning. That isn't a thought that's coming through wisdom or like a self-awareness. So it's like becoming aware of your patterns, the things that keep you unconscious. And doing that is, going to bring this unconsciousness to light, so that then you can like restore, like find what you've been disconnected with, so that you can connect back. And you're going to connect with like soul memories and gifts, potential. And I know a lot of what we're talking about right now, it seems very like spiritual, like not very grounded, not very practical, but it's like you have to find the balance. You have to find the balance between doing this work and staying grounded and staying practical, like staying logical. You know what I mean? You can't be like completely untethered and just like floating, you know what I mean? Like floating in the ethers. It's something that you do have to be very grounded, very present, very right here, right now, staying like in your routines, you know, like the healthy ones. We should all have like healthy routines and ways that we live our life, that we contribute, that it's going to be meaningful for us, for our souls, but also for those around us too. It's like being a facilitator for this awareness, for this light to like remember itself, you know, so that you can act from this place of wisdom and eventually free yourself, liberate yourself from the things that hold you back, from those egoic thought patterns, beliefs, conditioning, all of that. Because this is how we really have, you know, a spiritual transformation. This is the way. This is what you have to do, but you have to really, again, like you have to find your sovereignty, because like we're very, especially now in Pisces season, this is a very sensitive energy, you know? It's very receptive to its environment, to its surroundings, to other people's energy, you know what I mean? So you want to make sure that you're not being like imprinted upon, like you're not being influenced, like you're not being sucked up, sucked into other energies, you know? Getting hijacked, but that you are fully sovereign in your own energy. Like you have the discernment, you know, like you have to cultivate that discernment to be able to tell the difference, to be able to pick it apart, to be able to know like what's yours and what's not yours, and then take responsibility for what is yours and let other people take responsibility for what's theirs and navigate that, you know, like learn how to navigate that. It's really not gonna feel, you know, it's not meant to feel like easy 24/7 rainbows and butterflies, like that's it, I'm enlightened, I've reached it, you know, like it's not like you're freeing yourself of having, you know, human emotions or problematic feelings or thoughts or anything like that. It's being able to observe those things coming up and then like know where it's coming from, you know what I mean? So it's not like you're never gonna feel, you know, a bad feeling again. It's like when you feel it, you're not attaching it to anything, you know, to like your identity or your self-worth in some way, or like believing something about that feeling. It's like it's data. It's being able to have the discernment to like know where it's coming from. Like where is this feeling coming from? What conditioning, what patterning is this feeling coming from? And so, you know, it's not going to have the same impact or the same effect that it would have had when you weren't aware of certain things. Like that feeling could then, you know, cause a chain reaction to something that's going to be unhealthy, where now it's like you're just discerning the feeling and it's not going to cause that chain reaction because you know where it's coming from, you know where it's stemming from, and you know that it's ultimately like patterning or conditioning. So then you know how to handle it, you know how to take responsibility, you know how to manage it. You're not gonna let it like run the show, you know what I mean? You're gonna be moving like very calmly and slowly and still, instead of like letting something take over, kind of like autopilot. It's like a trigger and then it takes over and then there's this chain reaction. And that's just like unconsciousness. These are things that are in the way of you recognizing like your true power and potential, you know what I mean? Of you having your spiritual transformation. So right now is a time for you to create that silence, that stillness, you know, go within and create that space to be able to observe everything that's coming up, the feelings, the, you know, sensations, thoughts, you know, all of these things. It's like being able to have the discernment to know when something is coming from wisdom, a place of wisdom, and when something is coming from conditioning, patterning, so that you know how to move. You know what I mean? Like you know how to navigate both of these, how to handle it. You know which one of these is more like on the unconscious side because you're bringing consciousness to it and you know where it's stemming from. And then you know like when something feels like it's coming from like an inner sense of like wisdom and knowingness, you know, again, like something that you already have, this inner wisdom, this inner knowing. It's like this inner light that we all have, you know, we all have it because we're all made in the image of the creator. And so it's this light, this consciousness that all of us have, and it's just a matter of us awakening to it. And I think this is how that process looks like, you know what I mean? So it is a very grounded process. Like you need to be very grounded, like in reality, very present, very here, like very like willing to see your own limitations, you know, where you're lacking, so you can be real with yourself about where you could be being led astray, or where you could be deluded in some way, where you could be like wrong, you know? So you can kind of like bring yourself back into alignment. So the problem they're showing me here, which is usually, it's nothing new, we know this. The problem with a lot of us is that we don't know how to slow down, like we don't know how to just be like still and move slow and not be in a rush and like be patient and be present and be still, That's a real challenge for us in today's day and age where everything is so fast paced. We get like rewarded, or that's the messaging that gets across, is like the quicker you can do it, the more impressive, the quicker you can get there, or time is money, there's no time to waste. And so we just like, we don't ever give ourselves that time, that space that we need to really like become that observer, to see where everything is coming from, to really see the energy. It's like we're just completely unaware to it because of like how quick we're moving. So this message here is definitely highlighting like the need to slow down, to invite stillness, presence, patience, to stop like jumping into things, but to just like, chill. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go in with a tarot now to see what further messages we can get regarding what's coming through here today for us. For those of us that are tuned in, okay, so I'm seeing here that a major energy that's coming through has to do with the things that we value. So if we were to just slow down, they're saying like if you slow down, if you were just to take it easy, to move slow, to create that stillness, that space, so that it's not like thoughts back to back to back to back and like to do back to back to back to back. It's like you have time to really like tune in with yourself and check in with the things that are meaningful to you, that are important to you, that's valuable to you. It's like, what's valuable to me? And that not be attached to anything like that's chaotic or emotional, where it's like your emotions are telling you like, oh my God, I have to get this done. I have to do this because this is like, this is what success is. This is what victory is. And this is, what I have to stay committed to, this, like to that hustle and bustle, to like that grind. But really it's like, again, that's coming through a place of conditioning, through patterning, you being attached to that energy. So it's saying like, slow down and restrict. It's like saying restrict yourself in some way materially when it comes to the things that are like tangible in your life, like your valuables, like what's valuable to you, what's truly valuable. And not only materially too, although I am seeing that like it is highlighting like material things. It's like, what material things are valuable to you? Why? What material things do you need that's supporting you in a good way, that you're like giving meaning to, or that is meaningful to you, and try to like discern like why do you have that belief? Is it really coming from you? Is it actually supporting you in a way that's healthy, that's like providing stability, that's keeping you in alignment with something greater, with something higher, that's supporting you on your path to keeping you elevated? Or is it, like, did it stem from chaos, from disorder, from delusion, harmful beliefs? Because this is what you were taught was like, again, like successful or powerful. It's like, well, if I have this, or if I do this, if I attain this, then I'm going to be seen in this light. I'm going to be great. I'm going to be powerful, successful. And it's not really something that you truly value, or that is doing anything to elevate you or to keep you in alignment, to keep you on track, on path. You know what I mean? It could just be something that's just, it's like a cycle. It's like there is no real end. You know what I mean? Like there's never an end. Like it's always just, you're always gonna need more. Like it's never gonna truly fulfill you, because it can't. You know what I mean? It can't ever truly fulfill you. It's empty. So it's like you keep like, striving for these outcomes, but then it's never enough, and then you need more, and then like you need to like continue to like fill yourself up, or feel like you need to strive, because again, it's like something that you're trying to achieve externally, and so nothing internally is being built. You're never going to be truly satisfied You're just gonna stay in this loop, in this cycle, attached to something, again, that's keeping you off your path. And that comes from like society and conditioning and the programming, what's respected and what is like acknowledged and what receives praise, and trying to like adhere to those things. But those things, that's an illusion, you know what I mean? Like it's not gonna make you happy, because like you never took the time to see like what's gonna make you happy, what's gonna fulfill you, what's gonna feel meaningful and purposeful to you outside of what society has taught us. You haven't connected with yourself, with your own heart. So you're never going to feel fulfilled. You know what I'm saying? Like you could have the biggest mansions, multiple properties, cars, planes, helicopters. You could have it all. You could have it all, materially speaking, and still be completely decrepit and empty and hollow and depressed and have no meaning, like find no meaning in life, because that wasn't it. And I'm not necessarily seeing that like that's what you're after, like you're after money. I feel like people are after the feeling of like prestige, of power, of like, look at me, I'm victorious, look at my accomplishments, I'm on top, I'm number one, I'm undefeated, you know? And it's coming from such a competitive place. And I think there is such thing as healthy competition, but this is not what I'm seeing here. Like I'm not seeing healthy competition here. I'm seeing like this is what society taught me is what's gonna like make me stand out. So that's what I'm doing. You know, like there is no sense of connection or purpose or anything here. So that's why they want you to slow down, so that you can see like what is meaningful to me. Like what do I find meaningful? What am I connected to? What do I want to devote myself to? What do I want to give myself to? What do I have to like teach, to offer, to give? You know, because that's what feels super fulfilling. That's what's going to feel like really fulfilling, is when you have something actually to give. Like you can guide in some way, you can contribute in some way, and it's a way that's like, it's valuable, it's meaningful, you're connected to. It keeps you elevated. It keeps you like in line, aligned to your path, to what's meant for you, what's meant for you to do, what's meant for you to be great at, you know? So it's like you can't let your attention like get distracted, you know, and like try to go that way, and like, you know, because, oh, well, that's what I learned success means, so I'm just going to go that way, instead of like finding your own true success. Like you do have to like restrict yourself in certain areas to find your true and highest path, and what's like truly like going to be meaningful for you and like elevated, like what's going to elevate you, what's going to free you, liberate you in some way. And that's like your success. It's like your own success. Even if other people don't recognize or see this as being successful, it's like it's your own success. You know, you recognize and you see it as being successful because like it feels good to you. It's fulfilling you from the inside out, you know? You feel at peace. You feel good here. You feel elevated. You see how it's impacting your life in a positive way, how it's keeping you uplifted and liberated, maybe enlightened, elevated in some way. You see like this is what's for me. This is my success. This defines my success. I'm happy here. I feel at peace here. I found something, you know, I found something that is so meaningful and valuable to me. And I did it by going my own way, going against the grain in some way, following my own heart despite what was popular or, you know, what was considered successful. It's like seeing the folly in whatever that is and seeing the harm, and like there's no true foundation here. It's not truly successful. It's all just like a front. It's all just a facade. It's like a shell, an empty, hollow shell where your true success is full. It's completely full. Even if to somebody else, they don't consider it success, who the hell cares? Because it's like you feel full. You feel elevated. It's meaningful to you. It defines what's meaningful and purposeful to you, okay? It's like you feel in alignment, you know what I mean, with your own life and with your like purpose and with what's like fulfilling to you. It's like coming into union with that instead of like blindly following the blueprint that, you know, society gives you, or maybe it was your family, like wherever it came from, it just didn't come from you. And then I feel like not only are you getting your spiritual transformation, but again, it's not only about your spiritual transformation. Like you doing this and you going this way, you are helping those around you, your friends, you know, those in your group, those in your soul pod, your soul family, you know, it's like then you're helping them by just being the example, or just by helping them, just by listening to them, by, not in any kind of forceful way, just like, little gentle pushes or nudges, that facilitate them awakening to their own light, to their own path, their own purpose, to following their heart. It's like you have sacred contracts. Like anybody, whenever you like awaken, like you have an awakening, you become more and more aware of your light, it does become your responsibility to like try to awaken those around you. Again, not in a way that's forceful. It's just like you living your life the way you're living. That's already enough for some people in some cases. But then if people want more, or they, you talk to them, and it's kind of like directing the conversation in a certain way, or asking certain questions, that's going to like illuminate something for them. You're not trying to fix or change anything. It's just the nature of your presence is what's doing that. You know what I'm saying? Naturally, the way you're interacting, the way you're relating, the way you're communicating, the influence that you have, it's like, it like makes them think, or makes them pause, slow down. It can bring them back down to reality and help them to slow down and to see things, and, to have their own spiritual transformation. So it's kind of like you pay it forward. This energy keeps going, It's not just about like my own awakening and then that's it. It's like helping those around you as well do the same. It's being able to help all of the light, become aware of itself, to remember itself, to help it liberate, be free. And I think that's kind of like the sacred contract that we all have with each other, with those that are around us, our friends, our soul pod, our soulmates, And again, it's not something that's forceful. It's not something that happens that, like you have to force it to happen, or that's going to happen quickly. It's an unfolding. It's a progression. It's slow moving. Because I think that's just the nature of our material world. In this 3D reality, things are very dense and things do take time to move and to unfold. So it's kind of like being able to surrender to that and to accept like those circumstances, you know what I mean? That's what it means to be present. You're accepting certain circumstances, and you just have to let it unfold. Like time isn't running out. Like it is gonna take time, and you just have to let it take however long it's gonna take, because society again like tells us like you have to be quick and get there fast, and fast results, and that's what's cool and that's what's impressive, being forceful and dominating and in control. But no one ever really like teaches you the value of taking your time, of patience, of moving slow, letting things unravel and unfold, getting there late, as long as you built a solid foundation, not something that's gonna crumble or feel empty and hollow, that was built on delusions and lies and competition and destruction, you know what I mean? But something that, it took me a while to get here, because I was building brick by brick something that's gonna last a lifetime, something that's gonna be like eternal, something that's true, that's so valuable, that's so worth it. And it has to do, I feel like, yes, it's materially, like it's both materially, but it's also in your beliefs, like your belief system and your conditioning and your patterning, like all of these things, like being able to work on bringing those things into balance and bringing those things into alignment in a way that's healthy and that's going to keep you very focused, because it highlights what's meaningful to you. Like you're no longer confused about what's actually meaningful to you. It's like you could have a feeling like, yeah, this is what I want, this is what's meaningful, but it's really not. And that's why you have to have that discernment. Like, where is this coming from? Is this coming from responsibility, stability, truth, wisdom, like higher knowledge? Or is this just coming from like chaotic, crazy, like emotions? You know what I mean? Where it feels like, I'm in a rush, I have to get there, I have to do this, oh my God. Like it's like, it feels like it's contracting instead of like freeing and liberating, and like it's flowing. So yeah, I hope I did a good job explaining those energies, because I definitely am seeing both of these energies here. And it's saying like this more chaotic energy where it's like you think that's what you want, but it's because it's like you feel like you're in a rush to get there and you think this is what's going to bring you happiness, but it's like it's faulty. It's not a solid, good foundation. It's coming from other people. So again, it makes me feel like it's coming from society, or it's coming from like your upbringing or beliefs or something where like the focus was on competition and winning and coming out on top and being number one and dominating. And you think that's what's going to bring happiness, but it isn't. What's going to bring happiness is you slowing down and really getting to know yourself and getting to know what's meaningful and valuable to you and aligning to something higher, not listening to like, you know, the hustle and bustle of like the outside world, but really align, like listening to God, like only hearing God and following God, you know, something that's holy, that's godly, that's divine, that's truly righteous, because this is what's going to guide you to like your soul gifts, you know, like what you're here to do, like what you're here to cultivate, like what you have a natural inclination towards, again, like a proclivity, like what you're here to do, okay? To offer, to teach, to give. What's actually righteous for you and your path on your journey, you know, because those words can get so easily mixed up. You know, this is something I was thinking a lot about, and it was coming through with this Piscean energy, which I don't think is a coincidence. But really quick, so I can wrap this up, I've been thinking about like words, you know, and how like I say things like, you know, you have to like align to God's will, and God's will, you know, because I consider God's will to be like the flow of the Tao, and like that's, you know, it's leading you to your Dharma. And so you just have to let yourself align to that, because God knows best, you know, God is all seeing, like you're adhering to something higher. But then when other people that don't have those same intentions use the same words, that can be so triggering for me. So it's happened like on two different occasions, you know. Once when I was watching The Handmaid's Tale, which I just watched like last year, and then I just watched 12 Years a Slave recently for the first time. And like in both of those, you know, one of them is a TV show, one of them is a movie. In both of those, they're saying the same words, you know what I mean? They're using the same language, but it's like one of them is rooted in universal truth while the other one just is not, you know what I mean? Like they were saying in The Handmaid's Tale, for example, you know, them having babies and them giving up their baby to like the commander and his wife, that's God's will, that they are serving God by doing that. And the girl, like the main character, she's like, no, like what's God's will is the baby staying with the mother. So it's kind of like, that's the Pisces energy. Like it can twist things. It can like take the language, the communication, and then like twist it to like fit your own biases, like your own lower vibrational like understanding, because you don't have awareness, and so you think you're superior in some way, and you think like, yeah, well, God is blessing me to, like, I'm allowed to do this, this is God's will, God wants me to do this, I'm doing this in the name of God, you know. And the same thing with 12 Years a Slave. One of the slave owners, he like read a verse from the Bible or something to the slaves, and he was basically saying like, it's God's will, like this is what God wanted, you know. It's not a sin what I'm doing by, you know, considering you human beings my property and treating you how I treat you. It's God's will, you know. He was like, it's scripture, it's written in scripture, you know. And it's just like, whew. I get so triggered. I get so triggered when I hear the same language and the same words that I use, but just like being twisted to like fit their crazy, diluted ass way of wanting to perceive it, you know, so it can fit their own egoic delusions. And it's like, no, that's faulty, that's wrong, that's not true, that is not God's will. That is a foundation that is going to crack and break each and every time, because it is not rooted in love and truth, in what's actually holy or divine. It's all about power and control and domination. And as long as that's the root, that's the foundation, you're lost. You're completely lost, and you're not sovereign. And that just ain't it, okay? That just ain't it. So yeah, I just had to get that out. So maybe watch for that. Watch for like, you know, the justifications that your ego tries to make, and like the way it tries to twist words, you know. And Yeah, Pisces can be a tricky ass energy. It really can. I can talk about this forever, but it's been a long time. I wanted this reading to be shorter so I could try to get it up on time, but we'll see. Regardless of when it goes up, I hope that this message has served you. I hope you got something out of it. Thank you so much for being here with me today, for sharing your time and your energy. I hope to see you guys again very soon, and until next time.